And we are back yet again for the World Championship Series here in Jönköping, Sweden. Our second circuit event has just about reached the halfway point here at day 2 as we are finishing up the top side of the round of 16 with, you guessed it, another Zerg versus Zerg. I am here with the two men most qualified on planet Earth to discuss this subject with me. I'm Nathanius, joined by Rotterdam and In Control.
When you say Nathanius, I think I've seen your name before.
Oh my God.
Have we mentioned the announcer pack?
Is it coming soon?
It's coming soon.
That's amazing. I can't believe they fit that into one patch too.
Yeah, I was worried that, I really felt after a couple of best of fives, this was a good moment to bring it up, just in case we would forget it. But Nate, you're right. We've got a ZvZ coming up.
Hang on, one thing.
Oh.
Did you notice that with the Tastosis pack, it took 2 people to do that announcer pack, but with Nathanius, it's just Nathanius, not Nathanius and Rotterdam?
I've got nothing.
I don't either.
I had all the passion. One man had enough passion for this one. So it would seem.
I have no joke to follow that up. That was it.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
I thought you were going to take that somewhere. Anyways, let's talk about this ZvZ, because this is a pretty cool one. We're looking at Cham, one of these guys that I really feel has just not got enough camera time yet, because Cham is actually such a nice guy, such a likable guy, and he has really grown a lot as a player as well. He used to be this kind of wild card Mexican Zerg that's like, yeah, he's pretty good, but he can't really duke it out with the big boys. That's not the case anymore. Like, Cham is actually super legit. He is higher in the WCS rankings than his opponent, Snute, 7 and 9. This is going to be a really fun series, and for Cham, I almost feel like this is the breaking point of, having a good run at Austin or really being a consistent force at these WCS events, because even making it here, he already beat guys like Jon Snow, he beat Namchar, and he also beat TLO. Like, that's so impressive. Who would have ever thought that of Cham like a year ago?
Do we know why he's evolved? I know with a lot of players, they went to Korea, they do really well.
He's got a girlfriend.
That's usually the opposite in StarCraft.
Not always.
Oh,
not always.
no.
Maybe
I will argue this.
That curse has been broken lately. Look at Jon Snow. He's crushing too. He's been tweeting about it. Yeah?
I see what you
Okay,
did
well,
there.
we can dive a little bit more into maybe
That's a
how
Thermal Lance
Cham
joke. I
started
like
to
it.
get a little bit better at StarCraft. We do have Smix over in the tournament area, who we also heard is a huge fan of Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of that, so we do have an exciting match coming on. And it looks like with Cham, his favorite music is energy uplifting trance. So for all of you Zerg players out there, if you want to make a breakout performance like Cham, that's what you need to listen to, apparently.
So that's like Taylor Swift or something like that, I guess.
Exactly. Very similar music there, yeah.
Okay.
And I know that Rotterdam already mentioned this, but Cham did quietly have a very good tournament run so far. He did go through Jon Snow, Namshur, and TLO. And of course, at the last WCS Austin, he did make it all the way to the quarterfinals. Now, on the flip side with Snute, of course, everyone knows he's the most successful foreigner of all time with a lot of money under his wings. But Katowice and Austin weren't the best events for him this year. Top 24, top 16 respectively. So winning here has to be extremely important to him.
Yeah.
I like that. We get a little bit of flair coming out of Cham there. And of course, Snute, well, we were just having this conversation yesterday, watching him sitting there, devilishly handsome, amazing Zerg player,
what a
rocking
guy.
that peace sign.
Single, I think, too, so maybe underpowered.
Half the people in the chat just fainted, but thankfully the computers are still on, still watching the stream. Thoughts on this match? You guys like Snute in this situation?
He's the more experienced player, but I feel like we stopped saying this about Cham. I was talking about this earlier today. It was like WCS Austin, but I even think back to earlier this year. No, it was late last year, I think, where Cham was actually starting to have some results as well on the international stage. So there is definitely this like pedigree moment where it's like, yeah, you're a good player at home and online, and that's nice, but traveling is really hard to do. It's been hard for North and Central American players in particular, and South American with the Brazilians as well. But that seems to have been changed. We see these guys now more comfortable. The WCS system has given them opportunities to go and fight for things on big stages. So in the past, this is where I'd be like, Snute's been here a million times, Cham's the upstart, it's not gonna matter. Now, I think Cham's actually the guy that is comfortable here. He's fine. And I saw Rotterdam looking up their past matchups. He's played Snute online, they've done battle, he's beaten him. So this is a great situation for him, I think.
Yeah, this is a really big moment, I think, for Snute as well, because Snute always used to be one of the 3 players we mentioned at the very beginning of the tournament to take it all. And who do we talk about now? We talk about Neep, sometimes Showtime. Nurcho, absolutely. Cero a lot, and Elaser, Scarlet. But it's
Y'all forgot about Snute.
Yeah, it almost feels like, gonna
I like when I derail you, Kevin. You're
Yeah,
my
I
favorite.
really wanted to like spit out some lines immediately, but I was like, damn, that's a long time ago I heard that song. But you guys just talk a bunch of gibberish, okay? Like, you know, no, it's gonna be a big series. I really think that, you know, if this happens a year ago, you say like Snute 3-1, maybe, you know, maybe Cham gets a map. This is a very close call, and I'm just excited. I'm excited for the Latin American StarCraft team because there's actually super passionate fan base over there. You know, I went to Mexico City last year for the Copa Intercontinental, and seeing the fans there getting behind the players, so much fun. And if Cham picks up another round of points here, like, this is not like hyping up a fake story. He's got a real shot at making it to the global finals at the end of the year because he's currently top 7 already. Then making another quarterfinal, such a big moment for him.
And this has been a while coming. I mean, we've had, you know, Special, aka Major, in the past, traveling, doing well. We've had Cats representing the Peruvian players. Like, there's been a scene percolating there for a while. We've had the Copa International tournaments there where it feels like we've put attention into that region and we're starting to see superstars come out. Like,
the returns are coming out.
Special is literally one of the favorites to perhaps win this tournament. And Cham, we no longer talk about like this cheeky, like, oh, he does cheesy stuff, so he's got a chance. It's like, no, he's actually legitimately very good.
Yep, last year we talked about Cham. We were like, oh yeah, he's got some cute builds. He runs queens across the map. You casted that back then at Tour. You know, you were just like, what are we watching? But it's pretty cool. These days, nobody looks at Cham as like, oh yeah, that's a Zerg that I want to play in the quarterfinals.
He's scary.
This is a very tough challenge for Snute.
It's time to find out if Cham has what it takes to move on here against one of the fan favorites in Snute. Next, Zerg versus Zerg, coming right on up.
Mexico versus Norway. It is going to be a fantastic Zerg versus Zerg match. New blood representing Mexico on the right-hand side. It is Pablo, Cham, and on the left we do, of course, have our favorite Norwegian hero. It is Jens, and I'm joined by Todd. What are you thinking about this match, mate?
It's going to be good. Both players, I think, are quite good in the matchup. They've studied one another. And they are at a very important point as well, where it's rank 7 against rank 9 in the WCS Global Circuit standings. So they both need more points, but only one of them will score more here in this tournament. And here we are. First map, Ascension to Ire. Starting at the top left-hand side of the map, playing as the Red Zerg. It is Liquid Snute.
Captain Consistency himself. Going up against the young player down here in the bottom right-hand side. He had his breakout performance last year with a surprise top 8 finish at one of the WCS Circuit events. Representing Mexico and Team OSC Root, it is Cham.
So the devs talk a little bit about how Cham has been doing better as of late. I had a chat with him, and I was also wondering, you know, what changed for you? And he explained to me that he always wanted to be really good and become more known and do well in video games. First, he was a little bit of a console player and tried in multiple games there, but didn't quite succeed. Then later on moved to StarCraft, and at first wasn't necessarily doing that well, but then eventually he took a more cerebral approach to how he was practicing and thinking about the game and studying it, and that's when his results started kicking in. So he said that basically instead of just playing, he started studying the game a lot, and ever since he's had better results. He's going up against the highest earning non-Korean player though in Snute, so he's got a tall order here if he wants to be able to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Snute is above that $300,000 mark in the earnings,
Respect.
of course. I mean, he's so consistent, man. He's so good. This is the guy who's going to stay up all night to play some, you know, $200 cup online on the other side of the world, and he'll do that every week. You know, there is no tournament too small, because for him, it's all practice. It's all just experience leading into these moments.
Snute told me that he had to play a couple Zergs earlier, and he knew that Cham, you know, may have been able to study that. And also, like, one thing that he has going for him is that there is a lot of strong Zergs right now in Europe. So obviously, Snute playing on the European ladder gets to face a lot of them, gets good practice. But at the same time, there might be some content out there that you can study and get better from. And also, he's considered to be one of the predictable guys, is what Cham told me here out of Snute. So he told me that he thought that Snute is a lot of the time a greedy player, and that a good way to counter greed usually is either the polar opposites, right? Of playing either very aggressive or being very greedy yourself. And he told me that he might choose to play a very greedy himself, but so far in this game, Already a whole bunch of links have been made. It's not that many just yet that we can say there's going to be some heavy aggression, but an Evo Chamber is going to start here from Cham.
Interesting. Looks like Cham might be going for some of those Ling upgrades to start things out. Something like a Carapace Roach Zergling timing is very powerful with the way the Ravager Zergling interacts in early game Zerg versus Zerg. And he did have a Spine Crawler down, so Cham there, he knew that Snute does sometimes mix in the 13-12, but he cancelled the Spine Crawler when he scouted that Snute wasn't going for it, and is now just poking around looking for an edge here or there. Still no Baneling Nest on the way for Cham, but a lot of Speedlings are coming out for him, so it looks like he wants to keep Snute away from his side of the map and put on a lot of pressure.
Even Walker count and Zergling count here, they're making Zerglings at about the same time, it looks like. And with that Carapace upgrade on the way here, if those Links can survive the Baneling detonations of Snute, Cham might be able to do well. Usually when somebody gets Carapace like this, are they more inclined to play aggressive or defensive, you think?
I mean, often you'll see this go into some sort of aggressive timing attack, whether it just be a big Ling Flood at a certain moment or a big Roach Zergling. I mean, if you go,
it's big.
Oh, Roachwarren's on the way. And that is such a powerful attack because Cham already has a small worker lead throughout this early game. He's taking some nice trade with these Zerglings and he's forcing Banelings out. Meanwhile, Cham completely skipped the Baneling tech and he's just gone straight up into that Carapace and going now for that delayed third hatchery. But Cham, he's already up at 34 drones. He's looking very healthy, and I think if he just goes for about 6 or 7 Ravagers and a ton of Zerglings, it's going to be very hard for Snute to defend that.
Yeah, it's Snute's droning back up here. He's trying to catch up on that. Obviously, they can't see these numbers precisely, but he sees the amount of units that Cham made, and he probably realizes right now that there were a lot of drones made. So he's trying to catch up, getting his own Roach run currently. Snute is a little bit of a wizard, actually, in Roach versus Roach wars. Gets a cancel on that third base there.
Very nicely done here by Snute. And he's going to take the engage aggressively here right before Carapace finishes. The Queens in the back, though, do a good job for Cham. They do shoo these Zerglings away for now. But already whittling down the Zergling count for Cham is nice. And that third base getting cancelled is so massive. Look, Snute's already up 5 workers. And Snute is always someone who plays very respectful of these Roachling timings. He usually invests in his own massive Roaches and Zerglings and tries to do his own pressure because he knows this is so popular, the Roach Zergling timing, and he always wants to be prepared for it.
Yeah, as I was saying, Snute is truly a wizard of the Roach versus Roach arc. He does really well in those fights. Only using 3 drones there. We're entering his comfort zone here. From the moment you start making Roaches, he always does really well. Looks like he's gearing up for an attack here, even though Lair starts just right behind this. Snute he's got a lot of army right now.
Yeah.
I wonder if he was able actually to realize that there was Carapace +1.
I don't think he had a chance to actually click on that, but I think this is sort of a safety move, attack to make sure you don't get surprised. But seeing that Roach count is big, Snute has got to say, whoa, wait a second, that's a lot of Roaches. So yeah, he's going to turn around and behind this, transitioning to lair and upgrades, building some more drones. But I think after seeing that many Roaches, he's got to say, okay, we've got to keep an eye out for this attack that Cham might do. And there we see it, Roaches restarting in that production tab, Snute not wanting to be too greedy here.
Yeah, when asking Cham what his objectives were, it wasn't just one. He said, like, obviously he was coming here to try and make it to the global finals, but he also wants to win a premier tournament. He's very ambitious. He said he didn't necessarily think he was going to be able to do it this year, but definitely next year he would be able to. And so far, he showed a lot of promise.
He's going across to this attack. It's very committed. It's almost all in at this point, but I think Cham's realizing he's not going to find an opening, so he's starting to drone up behind this. But and that massive Zergling counterattack from Snute was so great, even though Cham had the upgrade advantage, because he'd bled out so many Zerglings. He just was so outnumbered in his natural at Snute. Took a good trade.
That
Snute
is a lot of Roaches.
So much time, though. And Snute is up in army supply. His +1 and his Roach speed are on the way. And with that +1 and that lair only just now starting for Cham, I feel like Snute has really put himself in a fantastic position this game.
He's a little bit late on the +1 missile, though. There's going to be a moment when Cham's going to have 1-1 against 0-0 off Snute, but it's going to be a very short window, I believe. And Snute having Gliar reconstitution so much earlier, he should be safe, especially inside of the map, with a healthy supply lead currently.
Nice Zergling counterattack here from Snute as well. Getting 2 drone kills and a queen. Doesn't get the queen.
Some great commentary.
That's yeah, okay. Qui? I'm not sure what that was.
Yeah, we went from the growling to the moaning there. This is next level, pig.
I felt like if I held off on saying it, finishing the sentence, then I could wait until I could see what would happen on the screen.
You built up the suspense for sure. All right. Cham, I think Lair just completed. We're going to see Glider Reconstitution starting. Do you think either of them tries to go for Infestors, or is it just a good old RVR with the just pure roaches for the most part?
I imagine Snute would love those Infestors, but I think it's quite far down the line. I think some players always rush towards that. But Snute, you can see he's actually playing very roach-focused right now. If you look at the worker count, Cham has been very greedy. He's just rushed up to 65 drones. Snute is still only at 50 workers, and he is way up in army supply. The question here for Snute, though, is how do you use that army advantage? I mean, he's just starting +2. Okay, now he pushes out with those roaches. And this is a good decision. He needs to use this army advantage right now. Otherwise, Cham is going to catch back up with that huge worker advantage.
And Tunneling Klaus now start here for Snute as well as Burrow. So he wants to invest into that for the later stages. Obviously, it's another way to use your advantage if you got more army and don't want to just attack in one place and bank everything on one single fight going well, which obviously Cham would have defender's advantage on creep, reinforcing quicker. Ooh, that overseer.
Cham just needs to hang on right now. He's still up 12 workers, guys. He's got 1-1 versus just +1 attack. And even though he hasn't started his +2, he repels Snute's assault. And suddenly this game is dead even. I mean, Snute, he had a great position earlier on, but these upgrades and this unit usage is really just looking fantastic for Cham right now. He's back in this game. The only worry is that he's forgotten about that +2 range upgrade.
You think that's definitely a mistake?
Yeah,
or?
he was very gas-starved, so it's really common in this scenario. You press it, you think it started, and then you might realize later if you're lucky.
I mean, especially if he's getting Tunneling Klaus and Burrow, right? Like, you definitely prioritize that +2 missile. Lots of overload starting for Cham here. Is going to want to max out ASAP and maybe try and take a fight. He's trying to catch this small chunk of roaches here out on the map of Snute. But Burrow just finished for Snute.
It's trying to hide, but there's an overseer there as well. Cham is going to catch those roaches. Snute is going to get those cornered. A nice pickup here for Cham, getting a little bit of efficiency. I mean, he pulled his entire army up into this weird corner of the map to get it, so if Snute had attacked somewhere else, it might have actually gone very poorly for Cham.
Yeah.
But Snute, he's in a defensive stance. He's going for that infestation pit. He's going for overlord speed. He's gearing up for that later game, and I got to say, I'm very impressed with Cham getting back into this game after the way that early game went.
And Latin America, to me, has been like the nicest surprise of this WCS circuit so far this year. In the top 8 of the WCS circuit standings, they've got 3 players, Kelazur, Special, and Cham. They're just playing so well, all of them. And really they're showing that it's not just all about North America and Europe.
It's cool to see these regions starting to get that representation up at this level. And it looks like Cham right now, he wants to keep pushing his advantage. Roach is coming in and getting some damage from that hatchery. But I love the wall off from Snute with those spines up there, just prepared with the Overseer to stop Tunneling Claw Roaches sneaking in. I say that, but the spines aren't done, and Tunneling Claw Roaches are actually sneaking past while Cham distracts on the south side, and he's going to get them through to the main and the natural.
And they regenerate so fast. They regenerate so fast that the spine crawler hits won't even matter here. Cham is looking to try and snipe a lot of drones while taking a huge engagement just right outside the third base here of Snute, dodging every single corrosive bite that he can.
Wow, this is so well done by Cham here. Just taking the fight in the front while starting to do big damage to those worker lines at home. 7 workers have gone down. Cham's going to get out of there with the Ravages that are left over, and look at this economy damage. That is huge.
I'm looking at it through the supply pig, and it's plummeting right now for Snute. He's lost 20 drones already. He's going to have to replenish that, but then that means he can't make units for some time. In the meantime, Cham is well saturated on 4 bases. He's sitting pretty back at home.
He just keeps going in with that army. It's so clever the way Cham is doing this. He keeps moving in, just dropping those corrosive biles and then falling back. And look at this, he's going to unburrow and get even more workers here. Snute's economy is being completely gutted. Cham is on fire right now, picking off more and more drones.
Cham's going for +2 carapace over +2 missile. You think that's like still a mistake where he thought he had started it, or?
Definitely a mistake. There's absolutely no reason you'd go for that on purpose. A very odd choice from Cham there. I think he just assumed the +2 was finished, clicked his Evo, pressed the hotkey without looking at it. But he's still done so much damage to the economy that it shouldn't matter too much, killing 28 workers in total, still running roaches around. Very nice play from Cham. Of course, Snute still has a big army up. We can't count him out yet. As if you've got the bigger army, you're maxed out, you can always win one big engagement, and that can always turn into a victory.
And Cham knows that his economy is in a great place. He's got quite a bit of gas saved up already. He goes for a Spire here behind this. Whereas Snute is going for Infestors. So Snute, I guess, playing defensively here is going to be the whole plan. Try and stabilize on 4 bases, make sure he doesn't take any more damage from this. He's caught back up on the worker count quite nicely, actually, 47, but Cham re-droned back up just a little bit just now here, and he's sitting on 62 drones himself. How do you like the Spire?
I think the Spire is a great choice here. You know, Snute is on a tiny economy. What can he do? Can he afford Spore Crawlers? Not at all. Not to cover 4 or 5 bases. Not at all.
What if that
very
fungal
expensive.
lands, though?
Yeah, I mean, if Cham decides to clump his mutas up on purpose and walk in front of an Infestor, then it could work out for Snute. But I think this is just such a great way to leverage an aggressive style when you have that superior economy. Oh, the spine wall's really cute. Oh, the fungal combined with the spines. It's actually very nicely done there on the defense from Snute. But Roaches are meaty units, and that's actually not going to be enough to defend there. Snute does land another fungal and bring back some Roach Ravager at the same time trying to defend on the front here. He does have that upgrade advantage with the +2 range, but Cham here just relentlessly coming in from different angles, and he's actually trying to lose supply right now. Cham wants to throw these units away. 13 Mutalisks in that production tab.
Cham spotted the infestation pit earlier when he went inside of Snute's main with his Roaches, so he knows that there could be Infestors eventually. Might be even able to spot them there very soon. One thing you need to keep in mind, by the way, if you kill your opponent's walkers, but they have enough minerals and gas to max out, you might be facing a massive army supply that you might not have enough to take head on. In particular, in this case, when there's mutas, right?
Yeah.
That are not that good against big armies when there are infestors in them as well. So Snute, essentially, his army supply right now is far superior than of Cham's. And
that's a lot of Mutalisks though, Todd. He's building Spore
He's
Crawlers.
bleeding as well. He knows that the fungal could be dangerous.
That's a beautiful response there from Cham. He's going to come in, and if he can knock this base down, this is such an important piece of Snute's economy. He's going to just focus that Spore Crawler down. He's got those Mutalisks spread. There's no Hydras. He's trying to corrosive bile the Mutas. This is just so desperate for Snute.
Yeah, one Queen will try to take on these Mutas head on there. And there is still fungals available, but those Mutas are spread out enough that this is... Oh my god! Oh, some sick fungal here will lands, and with corrosive bile get rid of a lot of those mutas, but that base essentially is gonna go down. And in the meantime, Cham, he's taking a 5th base and is still not under siege back at home.
Cham has so much money to work with. He's he's emptied his bank on the gas, but ooh, actually lets another fungal bile combo hit. You got to be careful with that, Cham. But I mean, he knows he's just got to get damage done with this. Just push in, keep damaging the economy, and what can Snute do in response to this? These mutas are just so frustrating to deal with.
That burrow was sick on the Queen here. Last second save, there was no transfuse on the other one available. Gonna start Krish spreading once again Snute in a fully defensive game, of which he's used off, not just from ZvZ, but from some of the old ZVPs he used to play with the Swarm host. He knows that the only thing he can do, the best thing that he can do at this point, he's just gonna sit back, hope Cham overextends, so he can land the fungals and win a big fight. That's the only way he's going to be able to come back in this game. Maybe even then not.
He might be able to make it work, Todd. I think you're spot on there. I mean, he's got +3 weapons on the way.
There's no fungals there, though.
This is really dangerous here from Cham, but he does know there's no fungal energy, so he's going to focus down these Hydras and Queens. The +2 carapace making these units so resistant, but comes in with the fungal and Roaches at the same time, trying to force Snute to engage into those Mutalisks. But Cham here doesn't actually have a lot of corrosive bile to back up that fungal combo. His mutas are going to come forward. They're looking for more snipes on those Hydras and Ravagers, but he doesn't have any flyer attack upgrades. So look at just how resistant to this Mutalisk bounces these units are. It takes so many Mutalisk hits just to kill a single Hydra.
And Cham is playing very impressively here. Again, Snute is making the most of his units there. He's killing those mutas little by little, but Cham is maximizing the damage out of those mutas.
Oh, nice fungal bile combo again. Snute is all over this. And Cham, he's actually investing in more mutas. I think that might be a bad decision, Todd. I think you called it before, that one big, strong, maxed out army from Snute here. I mean, he's been getting bashed around. But where are the Broodlords? Where are the Ultras? Where is just the bigger Roach Hydra Infestor army? It's not on the way. It's more mutas for Cham. And he's getting surrounded, Todd. Snute has just weathered the storm. He's found a way. He wants to crush this army right now. Equal upgrades, but a fantastic angle from Snute. And he sends Cham running with with his tail between his legs.
Yeah, Cham needs to get out of there right now. He's going to get chased, lose a couple units here at the back of his army. He needs to regroup. He needs more army supply back at home. And that's not necessarily Mutas there. They're going to fly in there. There's not that many Hydralisks. And I think there's still no more fungal because he made them use them before. So Snute actually he's the one that has to go home behind this.
Every single Hydra going down, but a lot of Mutas actually die in the process. Remember, guys, that +2 carapace just stops so much of that Mutalisk damage, with +3 about to finish as well. This is such a powerful army for Snute. He has just been way, way down in terms of mining. He's being so much more efficient, though, and somehow hanging on in this game.
What a 6 ZvZ. We don't always see these ZvZs being that action-packed when you reach the road stage, right? Usually it's one big fight and then somebody wins. If it's action-packed, usually it means it's Ling Bane against Ling Bane. But in this case, there are Mutas, Hydralisks, Infestors. Every single unit has been thrown in the blender here. And we're seeing action all over the place. Cham not slowing down anytime soon. Still looking to try and apply a lot of pressure here. He's going to get the Roach Warren of Snute.
Yeah, it's a lot of roaches he's committing, but it's forcing all of Snute's army back up here into the main base. He's just going to trade out as well as he can with those roaches at the same time. Oh, he splits those roaches up to hide and buy time, and he pushes down here, but great fungals landing from Snute. The +3 weapons is finished for Snute as well, and Snute here putting on a heroic defense with just this tiny army. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. Cham just has so many units, but the rest of Snute's army coming back in from above. How is Snute still holding on in this game? He's so outnumbered, but his engagements are so perfect, Todd.
Snute just refuses to die there for a long moment. He cannot make roaches, but he's still going to go for a couple Hydralisks and Infestors here to try and hold on. Cham has killed so many drones at this point. Snute, he's going to hold on, it looks like, but he's still taking damage, and that's important damage right there.
The key roach counterattack right here, though, Todd. If he can clear out this base, that's where things go from bad to worse for Snute. And it looks like Cham here, with the relentless aggression, has finally found his way into that economy. This is just insane.
Look at the resources lost. Almost 9,000 difference here. 30,000 resources lost to, I think it was 21 total.
44 Mutalisks have gone down this game. Cham here not being quite as efficient with those Mutalisks as he would have liked, and now Snute, he's taken massive economy damage. He says, okay, this is it. I need to go and kill you right now. I've got the economy advantage. He's got more Infestors, 6 versus just 1. He's got Hydralisks backing it up, but Cham has got Spine Crawlers. Cham has the bigger economy. If Cham can defend this, he will win the game. Can he hang on?
Having the +3 missile is a big deal. Cham is well defended as well with Spines, but we all know that static defense is pretty bad against upgraded units in the late game like this, so it might come down to the fungals as well. And in that department, Snute has got 6 Infestors against just the one of Cham, so he still has a chance somehow. I can't believe this.
So much energy on these Infestors as well. Infested Terran starting to go down. A great fungal from Cham on the defense, but Corrosive Biles landing from Snute as well. Nice roach flank on the north side from Cham, though. Cham starts to close in from all sides, and I think Cham with the spines, with the hydras, with the roach flank, it looks like he just barely had the numbers to hang on. And what a back and forth game. Cham here, very decisive throughout, manages to push out the Norwegian player, and it is going to be a 1-0 lead for Cham.
Beautiful last engagement coming in from behind with a lot of roaches and Hydralisks. If he hadn't done that, his own Spine Crawlers might have played up against him and blocked a lot of his army, especially if fungals had landed on the other side of his army, but not quite. Cham cleaning off here with the defense when Snute finally went for the big attack, and he was the aggressor the entire game. You know, it's not even like he wins a game in a match where like he's an underdog just by playing tricky or anything. No, this was straight up. He was the aggressor. He looked impressive all around.
How often do you see a player go across the map with the Roachling timing, Todd? 32 drones. They get to the other guy's base. He's on 45 workers. Faster lair. Does 0 damage. Cham has to just pull back and try to catch back up, and somehow he gets back in the game and ends up being in that sort of power overwhelming position. Really impressive recovery from Cham, but I've got to ask, I mean, did Snute miss a window there? I think there must have been some timing window where after defending that early timing so well and being ahead, Snute surely should have killed him with the roaches. I'm not sure where it lay, but I'm sure Snute in his head is saying, I must have let that slip away somewhere. Where should I have got him?
Again, it's a case of it's so much easier for us to see because we see all the numbers and we see everything from up there, you know, like it's easy to judge from a high chair or high ground. Obviously in game it's a lot different. You have minimal information.
They don't get to open the production tab, not
Yeah.
like us.
You don't see open on supply, otherwise it would be a very different game. I might actually be decent in that game.
Yeah, I think we could go back and become pro gamers again, Todd. Yeah, maybe WCS top 4, maybe. Yeah.
Man, I'm so impressed by Cham. Once again, obviously it's just a map. It's far from over. This is a best of 5, but Latin America, best America?
Yeah, I think
Not yet. Perhaps not yet. Neve's still in it.
And you got to be in it to win it, as are both of these players. Going into map number 2 here on Abyssal Reef, representing Team Liquid in the top left-hand side of the map, the red Zerg player. It is Snute.
His opponent in the blue, hailing from Mexico, coming in a long way here in Sweden. The Zerg player as well. It is Cham. Playing for Team Roots Gaming. Hashtag Root for Roots. Always very supportive. They always send out tweets with some photos, some very nicely redacted ones. They stay up late, I think, actually, to watch this sometimes.
Yeah. Root's such a great team. It's consistently been the team with the most high-placing WCS players from North America, pretty much all throughout the WCS system over the last 5 years. And definitely has been a very exciting run. Of course, it's build order talk time, Todd. We are seeing 2 very early gases and spawning pools from these couple of players. Both guys looking like they wanting to invest in, on the one hand, it looks like Cham is going to be playing very, very different with the gas being pulled off. Just a big speedling pressure into expand. Meanwhile, Snute, on the other hand, is just going to keep mining gas, drop the Baneling Nest, and it looks like he wants to go all in. Not even getting a queen. Snute is skipping the queen. He's just
not
saying,
yet, right?
just non-stop Ling Bane. Normally, yeah, that's because he's actually going to show the Zerglings. So this looks a lot to Cham like it's just a 12 pool rush as he sees these Zerglings. So he might be thinking, oh, maybe it's gasless, maybe it's this normal build. But Snoot's going to hit with the surprise Banelings, and that is where he's aiming to do damage.
So how do you react if you're Cham? There is a point where you need to pull back and play safer, or the fact that he's going to have queens against Banes, he's going to be all about the micro?
It all becomes down to the micro, because they're both one base. I mean, yes, Cham's trying to expand, and that maybe is a little bit risky here, but either way, it's going to be very dicey. Cham just needs to avoid the Banelings of Snute. Whenever there's Banelings, he needs to just go around and counterattack and bring the fight back towards Snute's side of the map. So that's going to be the real goal here for Cham, seeing those Zerglings, seeing no hatchery. He knows he is up against something very aggressive. And this is going to be a real knife fight. This is seriously just all down to the micro and control. Who can get the better angle? Snute with the faster link speed does pick off a Zergling for free there. Both players taking very even fights. Snute already killing 2 Zerglings without losing any. Rotating those low hit point Zerglings to the back of the engagement. Snute with some sick micro.
2 Banelings are being morphed across the map, and they're going to head straight for that mineral line here. Cham needs to see that, and he needs to defend it. He's going to run past those Banelings with some of his Zerglings. This could get a lot of drones. He needs to react.
He's microing on the front against those Zerglings. It's Zergling versus Zergling. He does react, but oh, looks like the Baneling's not going to find anything. Just going to bruise a couple of those drones. Nice play there from Snute, but not quite finding the damage he wanted.
Yeah.
That being said, he's up to 17 workers behind this. He's got Banelings out on the defense. Yeah, he doesn't have a hatchery, but his economy is more solid, and he's got the scarier unit composition with the Banelings mixed in.
Yeah, Cham going for his own Baneling that's behind. He's starting to mine gas once again. And I'm pretty sure he's going to be droning up momentarily, even though right now we're seeing a lot of links. He might try to overpower that second base before going back into drones.
Huge blunder by Snute there to let that Baneling go down without any Banelings. You know, the fact that he's been droning rather than building Zerglings is really hurting him. He's bringing back a single Baneling. He needs to keep this hatchery alive. I don't know if he's going to be able to do it. He does barely force Cham away from that hatchery in time. Nice micro from Snute, trying to catch as many of these Zerglings on the way out as possible.
And that's going to be defended here for now, but there's going to be a lot more links here where that came from. Cham trying to break that location. Snute morphing a Baneling up that ramp here, trying to block some surface area from those links that will move up. And it looks like those are going to morph on time.
Cham finally starting to drone up at home, using that second hatchery and those injects, but he's already got a lot of Zerglings out on the map, so he's going to continue looking for damage with that. seeing what he can get done. He also sniped down one of Snute's Overlords, so he did force a bit of a supply block for a few moments there. Snute can actually counterattack with a lot of Zerglings while defending with just Queen Baneling. Both players looking very dicey right now. And it looks like Cham is actually morphing some of his own aggressive Banelings. Oh, Snute's counterattack going to get completely shut down there. His Zerglings have to run away, backing off for now, but Snute's got that worker lead. He's up quite a lot of workers. Can he defend these Banelings? They're trying to sneak into the main base. They bypass the defenses. The Baneling there with a hit and the Queen, combining with that to deflect that without any damage being taken. Good defense by Snute.
Yeah, good defense from both players here so far. Every time that was important, but Cham is the one that's committed more towards the aggression, so he finds himself behind on the worker count by quite a bit. Needs to catch back up. Even though he had the hatchery up way earlier on the natural base, and now he's doing just that, morphing in some Banelings on his side of the map. And it's Snute's time to be greedy here. He's playing from a lead, and this is what he's good at. Droning up, getting further ahead through economy, and then later on getting an overpowering army of roaches eventually. That was spotted. These guys were really hoping they weren't, but they were.
Ooh, third base is very exposed though. Snute here, he does take out a lot of those Zerglings though with his Baneling. Not a bad hit. Will be able to slowly defend this third hatchery, and with that Big 10 worker lead behind this, if Snute can get up at third base, his transition into roaches is going to be very smooth. Meanwhile, Cham isn't even thinking about that. He is just like, I'm getting Carapace, I'm building Zerglings and Banelings, I'm trying to put on the hurt, but I'm not finding any openings just yet. And Cham, once again, looking like the Carapace is going to be his choice, but I don't know how it's going to work out when you're this far behind.
Something very important actually happened to Cham during the Challenger for these very tournaments. Usually that region, Latin America Challenger, is dominated by Kelazur, Special, and Cham, but in this case, Cham actually lost to Bayarada in the quarterfinals. And he said that he was so focused on working on his versus terrain because of Kelazur and Special that he actually neglected his ZvZ quite a bit. And after that, he told me that he refocused a lot more on ZvZ, and currently he's playing way better in the matchup, and that's really showing there.
Yeah, he's definitely been playing very well here, of course. Is up one map on Snute, but he's way down on workers in this second one. We've seen him recover from it before. He wasn't looking too great in game number one, but he ended up being just overpowering there. And now a lot of Zerglings on that production tab. Of course, if we take a look at Snute's vision, he has had his Overlords pushed back, so he doesn't have full vision outside of Cham's base. He might not realize just how many Zerglings there are coming. And yeah, Cham gonna look to get some more damage done. Lots of roaches in the production, harassing at the same time. Snute though, he's got +1 range on the way. He's got a lot of roaches starting to be produced. He's adding 8 more workers. Snute is such a greedy guy. But
if he can get away with it, he does pretty well. The question is, can he? Again, the Carapace upgrade from Cham, it seems to be his thing. I'm almost starting to wonder if he really thought he had forgot +2 missile earlier, or if he just wanted to get +2 Carapace earlier, because...
I think that just makes no sense in that scenario. I think this scenario, I love +1 Carapace, but later on when Zerglings aren't around, I don't think it makes any sense, so... Definitely, I think this is a cool style though, because you can see Cham likes to be aggressive, right? We saw it in that last game, he's like, I want to attack, I want to try and overwhelm you with the Roach Sling. And in the later game, it's like, bam, Roach is hitting from all sides, into the Mutas hitting from all sides. So I like him going for this. It gives him the mobility with the Zerglings, allows him to put the hurt on and force Snute into an awkward position. But this time around, Snute already has that horde of Roaches up. He's so far ahead in that army supply right now, at almost double. And Cham's attack, I think this one is going to get held very, very easily.
Yeah, the lair is so late. It's... feels like it took forever for Cham to get this started.
And these roaches, I mean, if he chases them, they won't get home.
Yeah. That was the case in the previous game, actually. Cham teched a lot later, right? But and then he ended up still being successful. But in this game, it just feels like he's so far behind. Just if you look at the numbers down there.
Yeah, Luca. Of course, the workers have tied up now, but Snute is way up in army supply. He's way up in upgrades as well. Last game, he wasn't way up in upgrades. He was actually slightly behind in them. So this is a very different scenario from that last game. And Snute now, this time, not missing that timing. Last game, he didn't push when he had the huge army lead. He's not going to make that mistake again. He realizes there's just not that many roaches. He's going to run right up this funnel, forces his way through, and just starts overwhelming the roaches of Cham. Cham not standing a chance against an army of that size. His Zergling counterattack tried to do something, but it wasn't enough. GG, Snute ties it up 1-1.
You know, Vision Zerg fights back here. Some good old roaches.
My favorite unit to see. Snute's favorite unit, even back in the old days when he was first coming up as a player. If you hopped on Snute's stream and you said, hey, Snute, I wish I could be as good at StarCraft as you. What should I do? You'd often see a cheeky grin and he'd say, you should build more roaches. It was his first love in StarCraft.
It's funny because it's true.
It's actually true. He would actually say that as well. A year or two past that, Swarm Hosts kind of took the cake there, took the title away from Roaches as his favorite unit. And these days, still lots of Roaches, lots of Ravagers. And back in the first huge tournament of Legacy of the Void, or one of the first ones, it was IEM Katowice in 2016. He actually ended up making it to the finals. And in the semi-final, he beat Hydra in a very memorable match where he was one of the first Zergs to show he knew exactly how to use Zergling Ravager in ZvZ, just with the perfect micro. And he actually made a few really sick comebacks just through his micro alone.
One thing about Snute is that he's very good with Infestors as well, but I feel like it depends more on how the game's going, right? Like these games, they've been action-packed, and it feels like we head into the mid-game where like both Zergs, they don't necessarily know exactly where they're at on the walk account, and it might seem very risky and like a big gamble to go into Infestors too early. And game one, Snute actually, he wasn't successful with Infestors at all. You know, he ended up taking a lot of damage to Roaches with Tunneling Claw, so that might even discourage him even more. But I really feel like if we start seeing maybe a bit of a slower game, he might be going way earlier into Infestors and basically just try to land the fungals, let them bank on some energy, and see some late game ZvZ with plus train missile, which he did have as well in game number 1.
I think if we get to Sequencer, actually we'll definitely be getting to Sequencer since it is 1-to-1. We definitely might see those Infestors. Choked up maps, so good for the fungal pile. The next one is
and long
Odyssey,
distance, so less incentive to go on the aggression.
Exactly. But here on Odyssey, much more wide open, right? Very aggressive map. This is one where I feel like it's going to be more about the Tunneling Claw Roach stage. Mutas can still be fantastic here, but with the 4th base options, it's much more spread out. You suddenly open yourself up to so many angles. I think it's really going to be both players trying to be the one to get their Tunneling Claw Roaches in the other's mineral line. Because if you just try to defend and build spine crawlers in every base, it can get really awkward.
Look at this, your favorite scene.
Those corrosive vials are actually amazing on those Mutalisks. He actually killed about, what, 35 of those 45 Mutalisks just with corrosive bile fungal.
And every single time it was the money fungal, just on the random Mutas, followed by corrosive bile. Some really good micro, but Cham as well set up defensively, and he held on. And you can see the sigh of relief here. After that game 1, game 2, Snute here fought back with the right attack.
I
really
like
good
that
series
as well.
so far, man. That game 1, that was in particular really good, I think. Like you don't, I feel like you rarely see a long game like this where like there is non-stop action and nobody really dies, right? Like so usually somebody falls behind and then he ends shortly after, but Snute just refused to die in that game 1.
I was actually really scared for Cham when he started building his 35th Mutalisk, and I was like, oh gosh, he's still building Mutas. And there's +3 and Hydras and Infestors out, and suddenly, you know, Snute, that engagement where he surrounded the army as well. Just some great play, but Cham, he's been stepping up to the plate, probably scrolling through his build orders on his phone there.
Look at his earnings, 10 times more for Snute. Oh man.
To be fair, there's about 5 more years in the career there for Snute than there has been for Cham. Of course, Cham only really breaking into the pro scene
he's really young.
Last year.
20 years old, that's like really young.
That's like 1/3 of your age, right, Todd? Or
that's like he's got 10 years to go where he's going to be really competitive before he gets to my point. So
all right. That's when he can get his name up on the front page of Esports earnings, and he can start.
Hopefully for him, like if he keeps on playing the way he's been playing, I think he might actually get really high on that.
Whenever anyone insults him, he might be able to throw out a tweet with a screenshot of their esports earnings page, maybe following your footsteps a little bit.
He's got a lot of work before that.
What a great match so far. Of course, a lot of Zerg versus Zerg in the first half of today. For you guys watching at home, there is going to be a lot more Terran and Protoss action later today. We have already seen one Protoss go through to the round of 8 in Petit Drogo with that surprise upset over Nurturo earlier, 3-0. What an impressive match that was, and there will even be a bit of Latin America versus North America with Semper representing Canada and Diego Kelazur representing Brazil later on today as well. So a lot of good matches you guys should stay tuned for. But for now, we are going to be going into map number 3 of this Zerg versus Zerg. Mexico versus Norway. Spawning down here in the bottom right-hand side, representing Team Liquid and playing for Norway. It is Team Liquid Snute.
Snute Skywalker, Jens of Asgard, whatever floats your boat. His opponent in the blue, it is Root Gaming's Cham.
Oh!
What a cheeky guy. He was prepared for this, completely prepared. Gives us a cheeky wink.
Love to see a little bit of color in these players, and it really is cool to see just a little bit of showmanship. I loved it when we went down to Mexico. You know, Cham was one of the friendliest guys there who I kept bugging with questions about Mexico. And I actually started to doubt if he's a real Mexican, because I kept asking him questions and he just didn't know the answer. I'd be like, oh, so what's like the, you know, what's like the national like song of your country, or what's like the capital? And he'd just kind of look at me blankly and be like, oh, I don't know. I guess I've been playing too many video games. Like, it was actually really weird and creepy how few questions he could answer about Mexico when I was quizzing him about it. But I guess he spends too much time inside playing StarCraft and practicing that, and that is why we get to see him here in the round of 16.
Guess what? He's paying off. He already made 30,000 and a lot more to come, I'm sure.
A lot more to come, no doubt.
Snute, let's see if this game he takes an aggressive approach. Usually on Odyssey, because it's like so wide open around the natural, in particular the third base. Would you be more encouraged to play aggressive, or I feel like the overlords actually play a big role on this map, right? Because it's hard to have like one single overlord covering every single exit.
Yeah, it's actually really difficult.
Yeah, if you put them right outside this area, like, you know, there's 3 avenues that you need to cover, and then queens can kind of still go there. So how important is that mind game and like getting the right scouting?
I think it's really important to have that proper overlord coverage, because there are so many paths, and these swimming pools in the middle of the map, it's very important to maintain vision over these areas, because the watchtowers actually don't cover the direct path through the middle of the map. So usually overlords sitting out there are very important. If someone goes out with a few Ravagers or an early queen, snipes that overlord, denies the vision, it just puts a player completely in the dark. They don't know if an attack's coming. So
swimming pools, by the way?
Yeah, a little, well, I don't know. It looks like a pool on a resort. I mean, you know, this is actually a resort map. There's like deck chairs down on the beach. You got a little sailboat.
Yeah, this is Valencia, right? Like
pretty much, right?
We kept on talking about this with Kyle Harris, actually, because he called it a lake.
A lake?
Like, that's a tiny lake, man. It certainly is no Jönköping lake, but it looks like a beautiful beach. We'll take it. Bailing Nest on the way here for Snute.
And we are going to see that Snute is chasing off that Overlord of Cham. Like I mentioned before, if you can shoo these Overlords away, makes it very hard to watch all of those exits, and already a lot of Zerglings on the way for Snute here. Just from about 27, 28 supply, he has been massing Zerglings. He's trying to sneak them out to get some Banelings morphed on the map, and he is going to be launching into a very aggressive pressure. Cham has gone for the fast third base. Snute has just completely ignored the third base. He's only going to drop that behind this pressure and
Cham's not getting a
massive attack.
He's just pure mass links here. Let's see if Snute can get the detonations he needs there. And he's going to need a whole more links here if he wants to be able to really be aggressive with this. But since he's going for drones, I guess it's more of a scare tactic, where he's really hoping that Cham will mess up, which actually, that was a good detonation here, that first one.
Yeah, the second Baneling not so good, and the Queen focus fire was sick from Cham. His Zergling's going to be able to push back these Zerglings for a moment, but more Banelings are morphing. Snute here putting on a lot of pressure, and this is such a great way to take advantage of Cham, because as we've seen, Cham likes to skip the Baneling nest, he likes to get Carapace and go straight up to Roach Tech. So if you take advantage of that by threatening him with Banelings, you force him to build so many Zerglings.
And these links are about to hit across the map there. There is no Banelings at home for Snute, but he's got 2 perfectly walled off Queens here thanks to the Baneling nest he made right next to the hatchery. Looks like Roach One is actually going to go down pretty quickly behind this here.
This is actually going so well for Cham. If he gets the cancel on the third, and he is going to get that, this is massive. Snute did not leave any Banelings at home. He stopped committing to the attack and actually started droning behind it. And the focus fire on the Banelings as well from Cham. Cham just decisively counterattacking with Zerglings, knowing he had enough to defend at home. This is spectacular play from our Mexican Zerg.
Look at how much gas he's mined already, almost 300. He's going to be able to start as many Roaches as he wants here. If he wants to go for an actual attack. Oh my god, that was quite a few links here that got blown up. Cham needs to be careful not to overcommit here, because he might get counter-attacked otherwise. But Roaches are now going to start. There's your favorite unit pick, as well as some more drones from Cham.
Looks like we didn't get into the Roach versus Roach action here. And oh, another cancel on the third. No reason for that to happen. Snute had the Zergling count, but he ran up the ramp. He was a little bit afraid there, and now Cham, he is actually getting even better trades again and again. Cham is running away with this game.
Snute was reeking of it.
He smelt the fear, and he went in there and he took it. I mean, he got that hatch cancel. Roach Warren's on the way for Snute, but I mean, the Roaches are already popping for Cham. How does he possibly defend this attack, Todd?
You're the Zerg player. Theorize for me.
I don't think he does. I'll put it simply. It's going to be very tough. Now, there is a rush distance. It takes a while to get across the map, and in that time, Snute could get defense up, but he's down in the dumps right now. Yes, he's got back up 3 workers, but his third hatchery isn't done, and he's got nothing except Zerglings and Banelings to defend what is a huge Roach attack. He's already building spines. It is natural because he senses how dire his situation is. And it's all just going to come down to the most clutch Baneling hits, the best surround, and maybe Cham making a mistake or two, because Cham has played this game brilliantly up to this point. He is in an advantageous position, and he is looking to push in for the kill. The Spine Crawler isn't even finished. Snute is forced to engage on top of this. All of the Banelings go down, and there's a huge Zergling reinforced coming across the map for Cham. So many more units. Roaches are starting to pop out here for Snute. The transfuse was good on the Spine Crawler, bought a few more seconds, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Cham shoving his way into this base, starting to focus down the Roaches. More and more Zerglings pulling their way in. This is about the best defense you could possibly expect from Snute, but I don't know if it's going to be enough, as this Roach count for Cham is just out of control.
Yeah, drones are going to start to be pulled off the line here, and they're going to die very quickly here to these Roaches, but Snute needed that regardless. He didn't have enough units just yet. Looks like he's going to push it back, but he did lose a couple drones here. In the midst of all this, they're going to be actually pretty even behind this on the walker counts.
If Snute can hang on here, then this is actually miraculous. And I think he's done it. Is Snute back in this game? Oh my gosh, I did not think he would hold on there. But you could see the angling. He even actually pulled 2 drones out, put them on a hold position, specifically to block the units getting in towards his queens. The Roaches were in a perfect concave. He was transfusing, he was microing everything. So Snute there did everything correct. And Cham, his Zergling reinforced just a little bit too far behind his initial Roaches, wasn't quite able to find the damage. Now the game's reset, but Cham looking for some more damage. He's going to get a queen and a few Zerglings there. Zerglings in the main base going down as well. And Snute here taking a little bit of damage.
It's just so hard to kill. Even in game 1, like, he lost, but he took for Cham a long time to finally completely break him. Snute's going to be on the counter-attack here with a couple Zerglings.
Ooh, very nice counter-attack here from Snute. Will get 4 or 5 drones, and that will tie things up here. The worker count neck and neck as both players are just trading blows in this scrappy down and dirty ZvZ.
And both players at this point, they have to decide, what do they make? Units or drones? It's almost like you make the wrong choice, you're going to be in big trouble. And a lot of the time, we're going to be seeing them making the same thing, but then when they are not, that's when it gets really interesting. Right now, Snute is droning up. He's taking the usual Snute route. Actually taking for a lair on his third base, which actually was quite injured already. That could be dangerous.
I think Snute's saying, if I lose that, I'm probably dead, so I might as well upgrade it. And that'll actually give it plus 500 fresh hit points on top of the hatchery hit points, take it up to 1,300, which should make it a lot more robust. So I like that decision from Snute. He's saying, I need to hang on to this base. And he's going to try and catch up in those upgrades, that lair, poking around a little bit. What he doesn't know is Cham, cheeky Cham. He's building a spire up in that main base. And even though his drone count is way down, if he can blindside Snute with those Mutalisks, he may be able to get a big edge in this game.
He's not going to have the most gas, but surely enough to start a whole bunch of Mutas. Man, these Overlords are having a terrible time there.
Ravagers are the natural predator of Overlords. Probably not what everyone had in mind when they were thinking about the Ravager when it first got announced, but
They're there to break force fields, but they kill Overlords instead. Go figure.
Welcome to StarCraft, where you can never tell how units are going to end up being used.
Reapers were supposed to be a scouting unit.
Tell that to Beyond in his BlizzCon trophy.
Oh, actually, he's mining from 6 gases now, he's Cham. How much is he going to commit to the Mutas this time around? Because like he's already getting +2 missile. There is no more +2 card base rush here.
This is really interesting. Like, Snute right now is trying to establish the gold, but his upgrades are still a while away. So Snute here is like, I've got more army, I've got more workers. What are you going to do about it? And Cham's like, well, I've got Mutalisks and +2 roach speed Roaches in the near future. So Cham here has all the tech and the mobility. If he can do damage with this, then he's going to get ahead. He's going to get in a good position. But Snute is just saying, I'm not going to let you do any damage to me. He's well positioned here. He's going to shut down this Roach attack. Cham, you got to get that gold base and get out of there, mate.
Sent that straight into the roach grinder here and lost a couple of them. He's gonna get a cancel on that gold base and then get out.
Good cancel there. How many Mutalisks do we have out on that map? It looks like just 6. 2 more on the way now as well.
It's good, right, to just get these amounts?
Yeah, this is very nice. It can snipe Ravages, you can pick off drones, you force a lot of spores.
Baneling Nest off the back of this? Is he just gonna do a mass roach baneling attack? He's baiting Hydralisk?
Is Tude Ming in that booth? Is that Tude Ming in there? I feel some of those Chinese ZvZ meta styles coming in. This is something we saw a lot in Heart of the Swarm as the Roach Baneling. Banelings are very powerful for timing attacks in Zerg vs. Zerg. They cost next to no supply and they do a big punch. The problem with them is they're not efficient over time. It's all about a one punch killing your opponent. So Cham, he's saying, I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to hit you with a huge Roach Baneling timing. And who knows, if he sees no Hydralisks out of Snute, he might not even bother with them.
Hey, we'll see how many he gets. Centrifugal hooks already on the way here for Cham, who seems to have decided exactly what he's going to go into. Remember, he's mining a lot of gas as well, and because he stopped Mutus after just this punch here right there, he's going to have quite a bit of gas to start a lot of Banelings. Basically just max out, get a lot of Banelings, try to get some big connections. It's very hard to split against this army too, right? Like you got the Mutas and Roaches to worry about. Zergs naturally not necessarily the most used race to go for splits against Banelings.
Yeah, it's actually something which can be very hard on or off creep, as obviously creep spread makes the Banelings so much faster, even though it speeds up your Hydralisks. And something we got to take into account is these Mutalisks are much more annoying than the Mutalisks in that first game. There are not +2 carapace upgrades for Snute. Snute has no carapace upgrades, in fact, so his Hydralisks do die very quickly. So really we see Cham here, he's got the aggressive mobility, he's limited Snute's vision. Both players very equal on economy. Snute desperately trying to catch up on that +2 upgrade. It's getting closer to
He
finish.
needs to get that before the fight starts.
Yeah, he
and
really
also,
needs
like,
that.
this is going to be a tricky position for Snute to defend from. If he's standing inside of that ramp between the natural and third base, he's kind of going to be stuck there. It's going to be very hard for him to split as well. He can't hit those small chokes.
I kind of like the choice to move out, even though his +2 isn't done. Fighting in the open is going to help Snute maneuver against those Mutas and Banelings a lot more. Those Banelings are spotted on the left-hand side. Snute has seen what he's up against. The Muta's actually picking off a few Hydras, but the Roach is picking off Banelings at the same time. Snute here finding a fantastic angle. Both players tied neck and neck in army supply. 140 versus 140. The Banelings coming in, but they haven't found an angle yet. They're trying to go in on top of those Roaches and Hydras. Some great Baneling connections, and Banelings even flanking from the right. There's so much Roach Ravager. The +2 upgrade only now finishes for Snute right after the battle finishes. And I think Cham's done it. Crashes through that army. That upgrade difference making such a big effect, as well as those Banelings just being so supply efficient. A beautiful maxed out timing attack from Cham.
What a crazy mind game as well to go for Mutas like this and hope that Snute was going to go for Hydralisk. If there had been Infestors, Fungal could have caught those Banelings, but now they were not there. Cham gets a beautiful engagement. Snute overextended. He got overconfident for some reason. He's been defending a lot this series. He finally thought it was his time to move out, but no. Cham has enough. He cleans up, and it looks like the Mexican player will be taking the lead here in this series.
Massive plays from Cham this series. It looks like he will be going up 2-1 versus Snute. Only one game away from progressing to that round of 8. Cham looking very happy with himself there, as he should be.
That was beautifully done here. Well executed throughout, using the meta as well from the previous games, using his image.
Snute actually, it was so impressive that he held on against that attack. Remember, we've seen a lot of back and forth in these games. Cham was in a fantastic position. I mean, it goes right back to the start, right? Snute said, you know what, you're skipping Baneling Nest. I'm going to go for this Baneling pressure. And this is something which is technically very powerful against what Cham does, because if Cham messes up once, I mean, he doesn't have Banelings to fall back on. But he just said, you know what, I'm going to just split my Zerglings, fight your Zerglings. And then at the moment where he knew he couldn't engage Snute's army, he just ran past, counterattacked Snute, didn't have any Banelings at home, and that totally called Snute out on that. Snute was being way too greedy behind his pressure.
The Queen Micro was really good from Cham as well. That kind of saved him. He always targeted those Banelings just on time, never let them really go forward. Like, you're going to have games where like this is not going to happen, and then all of a sudden it's going to look like a completely different game. You know, the one with the Banelings is just going to win right out. One single big detonation into the middle line, and then already it becomes a very different game. So Snute never really got that, and then Cham from there able to do well. That was a really good game. Yet again, action-packed like this. None of these ZvZs are ever snoozers.
Not at all. I mean, it's crazy, right? Both games Cham has won. he's been at a point in the game where he's actually in a really awkward position, but then Snute has just refused to die after Cham gets back into the lead, and then Cham just barely overwhelms him always. And now we are going to be going into Sequencer, which is a map which I think both of these players are going to be a little bit nervous to play on, as it is such a volatile map with so many paths across it. However, Cham's been a little bit more aggressive with the Zergling upgrades. He's shown he likes that style, and I think Sequencer's a fantastic map for that. So he's got a game to spare. He can play a bit aggressively. He can play a bit of a gamble. Snute, the pressure is on him to pull it together on this very difficult Zerg vs. Zerg map.
All I like, Snute likes to drone up though. And this is a map where taking 3 bases is going to be way easier because you got a fairly easy natural and then kind of like a pocket third base with just 1 gas there. So maybe Snute plays a little bit more conservative, drones up a lot, goes for a wall, and takes it to the longest stages without taking any damage early on. Let's find out here. Game number 4, starting in the top right-hand side, playing as the Red Zerg. We've got Team Liquid's Snute.
And standing between him, down here in the bottom left-hand side of Sequencer, the blue Zerg hailing from Mexico, representing OSC Root. It is Cham.
Going for something aggressive, apparently, because you open Extractor into spawning pool.
Yeah, that's a 13-12 right there. That's what that is. And this is a build we've been seeing a lot recently. I actually believe, I'm trying to remember, there were so many games we were watching yesterday in the group stage. I was watching some of Cham's games, and I believe it was against TLO on this exact same map, Snute's teammate, that he actually pulled this out. So I do wonder if Snute's been talking to TLO, if he saw those matches, because right now he's going Hatch Gas Pool. He's playing a standard, slightly greedy opening, and Cham is going all in right now. He is not pulling off gas. He is going to be going for Zerglings and Banelings.
Oh, no, he did, actually.
Oh, he did. Okay, he pulls off gas, just slightly late, and he's going to be starting the Queen there. So you know he's just going mass Zergling. He wants to cancel the hatch of Snute, do a lot of damage, and then just expand behind that.
When you do this, you dodge overlords, right? You
Absolutely.
go around.
And it's only when your first inject pops that those Zerglings time out as link speed finishes, and that's where you don't care. You flood those across the map, and your other Zerglings that were hidden just kind of run out as you show your hand. They enter your opponent's natural, and you start looking for your damage that way.
Do you think Cham was hoping that Snute will go for the build that he went for? And that's what he's counting on to try and do some damage?
Absolutely. I mean, even against a pool first, you can find damage with this because it's such a long map. It takes so long to scout, and people really just aren't in the habit of drone scouting in Zerg versus Zerg. It is something you can do, but players, just generally do not like to do that. So, yeah, I think it's something where Snute here, he's going to need to respond very well. You can see he's got 6 Zerglings in the production tab, and this is where the flower of Zerglings happens. So as they come out, we're going to see them spread in every direction over the minimap. I'll point that out when that happens again.
Hey, it's very hard to have a spine if you don't see this coming, or even like 2 queens in the ramp. Like Snute's not going to have that. He's going to have speed way later, so it's almost like as if this upgrade is like useless for a very long time. And also, if these links get caught here, this is going to be a disaster. That's the only one in that location.
He needs to find it. There we go. Spotting it is so important, though. He's spotted it, but Zergling speed's already done. He's pulling back. Can the queens get to the ramp on time? I don't know. I think he's just going to hide in the mineral line. Oh no, he injected. He stopped to inject. That queen needed to get out of there. That queen getting surrounded is huge. Cham very happy to trade a few Zerglings to take down that queen. Now these drones are a very important piece of this defense. We saw Scarlet defend this perfectly in that previous series. Oh, Snute hanging on for now. More queens and Zerglings on the way. Remember, slow Zerglings do okay versus Speedlings if you can just not let them get surrounded, fight in these choked up areas. That queen goes out into the open. She tanks a bit. So far, so good for Snute. Yeah. He's hanging on really well right now.
Cham's waiting for the critical mass of links here. He's so many walkers behind, and he's not droning up behind this. He's only making links. He's going to look to try and rejoin that location with more and more links, but now Snute has speed as well.
Snute has got to be a little bit careful. There's more Zerglings there. Yeah, just pull back, wait for his Zergling count to catch up because he has so much more money in production right now. He is in such a good position.
Wait, Cham lost an Overlord?
Ooh, looks like Cham's Overlord did get sniped there by the Queens. A bit of a blunder as well. His Zerglings now getting cornered in the main base. This is actually really bad if Cham loses these Zerglings. He doesn't have a Baneling Nest at home. And the Queens with the block on the ramps.
The gates have been locked, and the gatekeeper Queens here will make sure that all those links do die. Behind this, there's going to be a wall-off from Snute. And what a great map for him as well. He just likes to defend. Long rush distance, you can wall off. Now he has the Queens and all the initiative in the world. He can just run up easily, look to try and apply some pressure with those links. And Snute is looking really good here in that game number 4.
You know, I really love the Baneling version of this all-in. The Speedling one, if they've got that textbook defense like Snute had just there, it can go awry very quickly, and Snute manages to tie it up 2-2. And yet again, we are going to be seeing a game 5 in another Zerg vs. Zerg series. All of these players so closely matched.
Yeah. It's crazy that for Cham to win a game, he has to put so much effort into it. You know, Snute just refuses to die until he eventually does. But when Snute wins, he just flat out does the right thing, defend and then attacks and then just kills Cham.
Oh, yeah.
It has to be maybe, I don't know if he will get to Cham's head, but I know that if I was him, maybe I'd get almost like a little bit discouraged by that. You know, it's really hard, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I remember
it's very taxing.
Playing against Snute would always stress me out as a player back in the day as well, because he is that sort of brick wall. When you play against him, you either just run into the brick wall and you just get splattered against it, you fall over, you feel a bit silly, or you find a way to just crack the foundation. And if you can do that, if you can dig away underneath Snute's defenses, you can make everything fall apart suddenly in one big heap. And that is the big task, though. It is what Cham has to ask himself. How will he do that on map number 5? It is going to be Proxima Station, a very stable map, a somewhat defensive map. And this is going to be one which really brings both of these players to their limits, and it's going to be very different to Ascension to Aya, very different to Sequencer. I do not think we'll be seeing an early pool on this one.
Then what do you think we'll be seeing? Just like standard?
I think quite standard hatch first, yeah. I think the big question is...
A passive game maybe for once, for a little bit?
Passive game, potentially. I think Cham's still going to go for Mutalisks, though. So I think Mutas are actually going to be his decision. The question is, does he go for Roaches into Mutas like he's been doing? Or is it like, you know what, there's only one entrance, I'm going to just spine up the front, get a lot of Mutalisks straight away. Maybe
there
play a two-base Mutalisk.
There are a few mind games that he can go into, right? Like with the image that he has of the guy, you know, that has been going for some aggressions here and there, and in the longer games into Mutas.
Oh, yeah.
Well, what could he do that would be really smart? Just play entirely differently, or?
I think on this map, you know, it demands both players play very differently. So definitely blindsiding his opponent, pulling out maybe a greedier build than he expects. And really, Proxima, it's all about cutting corners for both of these players. Let's see what they can do to make it work. Spawning down here in the bottom left-hand side, representing Team Liquid, it is Snute.
His opponent in the blue. He had a long trip and came all the way from Mexico. It is Cham.
Both players have shown some fantastic games so far. But now it comes down to this final one. We have to see how both players play. It looks like, for now, both of them are looking to go for those hatchery first openings. Both at the front, both of them unafraid of any rush. As I said, early pool, very rare on this map, because even if you take the front base, you know, it's quite easy to defend. The back base is just a hard counter to the 12 pool or the 13-12. So both players are going to be expanding up nice and fast. And, you know, I mentioned Mutalisks. I do think that's going to be something that features, but who knows? We're going to have to keep an eye on how both players drone up, and will one player perhaps go for just a wall off is what I was wondering, and I think you've just spotted it there, Todd.
Snute gasless here so far. A little bit. I feel like this is almost like old school, right? We used to see that a whole lot more than nowadays.
I think he's going to go the third hatch as well. The sequencer build, which we've seen in a few other series today. Okay, Snute really bringing the greed up a notch, and that's
when it's all on the line as well. Last map.
Ooh, it takes a bit of bravery to do that, especially after getting 13-12. But I think after shutting down the 13-12, he said, you know what, you're not going to do that again. You're not going to throw your opportunity on going aggressive on such a map where it's easy to defend. Snute here with a splendid play, and it's going to be a long time before Cham even realizes what he's up against. Actually, no, Cham. He's actually stopped his Overlord accidentally outside the base. He hasn't even continued it going in. Cham there, maybe a little bit of nerves. Just there's no reason to stop that Overlord. That Overlord should have spotted the hatchery and kept on going through to check that back base. So a little bit of a mistake here, and that is going to be valuable information missing.
That guy's going. He's catching up.
Yeah.
Eventually going to see it there. He's even controlling that here currently.
Maybe not even a mistake. This could be a conscious decision from Cham.
Yeah, where he's like spreading out Overlords to make sure he would spot any sort of links here moving towards direction. I mean,
he might
would have anyway.
Maybe he forgot about the option of this fast third build. Yeah. This is very rare. This is not a common opening from Snute.
Remember, this series is very important. Not only would the winner advance on to the next round, but both of these players in dire need on more WCS points in rank 7 and 9 currently.
Cham's going to knight us all in. So Cham here is looking to zone this Overlord out. He wants to chase that away. He's going for a super fast lair and second gas. He is going for a Nidus Roach Queen all in attack. This is actually so ballsy from Cham right now.
Isn't that good against what Snute's doing? Skipping gas and, I guess, Roach for a long time there?
I mean, it definitely can, especially with the third hatchery, because when is Snute going to go for the Roach Warren? When is he going to actually do that? Yeah, he's just droning right now. We've seen Snute follow this pattern,
Oh,
right?
there it is.
He's dropping it now, but will he actually know this is coming? And where will that Nidus hit? Will it just be at the front of the base? Will it drop in the main? Right now, there's no Overlord in position to drop the Nidus, but I'm pretty sure that's what Cham's going for. And this is such a ballsy move here. Right here, when everything's on the line, he's just like, let's go all in with this. This is actually crazy.
Straight up games, the whole series, action-packed. And then to finish like this with Cham putting it all on the line.
Snute's Overlord at the back. Yeah, there's the Nidus Worm. And Snute's Overlord is actually, I believe...
Oh, he just saw it, I think.
He sees no third hatchery. I don't think he's seen the third...
Okay, so Snute's reflex should be to stop droning up and make 1 unit from there.
Oh, they almost got into that base. Oh.
Snute is still droning up. I thought that now seeing a third base would trigger some mass unit production, but no, he's still making drones here.
This is a little bit of a mistake from Snute. He cannot be this greedy. He's only thinking about a frontal attack, but that Nidus Worm is almost finished, Todd, and the Overlord's in position. Is this how it's going to end for the Norwegian Zerg? Is this how the Mexican player Cham is going to go through to that top 8? It's in vision, but he hasn't seen it.
Yeah.
He's reacting now. The Queen's there, but he's only just now starting Roach production. This is so scary for Snute. How can he possibly hang on against this?
I think he needs to buy time, maybe pull back out of that base, make sure he has enough roaches, and then fight. But Cham's going to get right into his face, start killing drones, and get in the middle of that mirror line with all of his queens and the roaches.
And all of his gas mining is here. Snute needs to defend this base where he can't build more roaches. He's being forced to build slow Zerglings right now. The drone's doing a good surround. They're getting some damage down, but they're just bruising the roaches and queens so far. Snute coming in from all angles. He's already lost 18 workers, which ties up the worker count. But if he can hang on, then he's actually still in this game, Todd. And I think he might be doing it. There's just so few units for Cham. Snute hanging on, overwhelming with these queens and roaches. Macro overwhelming. Snute hangs on against the impossible.
Snute is immortal at this point. I feel like he's Jens Waller, Osgard the Immortal. This is insane. They're even on the worker count now, and he's defended the big all-in of Cham, who's now trapped on 2 bases. Not even a sign of any third hatchery just yet.
Wow.
Does he take the gold base, I guess, off the back of this because he has early attack?
It's a good decision, but I don't think you're expecting the game to go that long if you're in Cham's shoes. I mean, the worker supply is very similar, but the army supply for Snute is way ahead, and it looks like Mutas is going to be the answer from Cham. Hey, I mentioned Mutas. I said they were going to happen, Todd. Didn't think it would be after a Nidus Worm, but I guess I called it, right?
Yeah, you did. Good job. We got there eventually. Man, I'm so surprised. I really thought this was going to be successful. Do you think that Cham maybe got overeager? Did he have to get inside of the middle line like this? He could have pulled back, right? If he didn't get fully surrounded. And then with the reinforcements, might have been able to overpower, or did he have to actually try and trade immediately like this?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. It's one of those fights where you could probably watch it in slow-mo in a replay 6 different times, like focusing on different parts of that engagement, but it definitely seemed like his damage output was a little bit spread.
Yeah.
And Snute's units were, the drones died, yes, but his queens weren't dying, his roaches weren't dying, and I think it's important to focus down those damage-dealing units as they're popping out. And yeah, Cham didn't quite manage to do that, so now he is down in a bit of a hard position. But I think Mutas is a great decision from here.
I was going to ask if there's any chance that Snute counters Nidus with lots of roaches, upgrades, and queens, but I guess these upgrades will take a long time to go up, right? So probably not.
I think, honestly, that Snute's just going to play a very typical game from here. We're probably going to see him even go to Infestors. He's spotting the third hatch. He's scouting. He says, okay, you're macroing up. I can macro up even harder. And he really wants to spot that Spire. This Changeling is on a mission. He needs to spot that tech. It's down in the natural, not in the main, though.
I wonder if Cham's letting that... Yeah.
Oh!
He lets him scout, and he's like, nope, not the third. You check the main in natural, see nothing, and then I'll kill you. So that you will think there is only roaches.
6 Mutalisks are about to pop. This Overseer will be spotting that Snute here. Not settling for just seeing partial information. He's going to spot that Spire, and he's going to know, okay, Mutalisks are here. Immediately Spores dropping his bases back home. Snute here with a massive supply advantage and massive roaches. But with those units out, it's a little bit awkward. And funnily enough, he's actually fully walled in. So Snute can't even move out with a roach push because he needs to wait for his upgrades to finish.
And a pretty early Hydra den of the back of this here for Cham, probably looking to try and transition into a lot of roaches.
I think
plus
Lurkers
Hydras.
actually, right? I actually think Lurkers are the decision here because he knows he's so far behind. Maybe, yeah. So he's going to rush to Lurkers, right?
Yeah.
The big surprise unit. Cham here, this is one of the skills of a really high-level player, is recognizing when you're behind, how to make a comeback and what sort of gambles you have to make. And you see Cham here, he's gone pure drones. He's actually up in workers now. I don't know how Cham always catches up in workers in these games.
And there is another mind game in this as well, where Cham made a lot of mutas before. So now, if Snute fully know that there is only these few mutas, he might actually head across the map and try and kill him with his massive amount of roaches that he already has. And actually, he's doing that. Snute's moving out. Cham.
Snute is going to be doing it, looking for the rocks at least for now. Those Mutalisks really need to get back here and work on this. You'll notice there's no Overlord vision for Cham, though, so Cham is completely unaware of this.
Wow.
And his Mutas are way out of position. They're behind the main base. Oh, no, and he's even losing one more Mutalisk. Just barely goes down. He needs those Mutas to work on those roaches because he is down 40 supply. You know what? When your opponent's doing something funny, doing something a bit weird, sometimes the best answer is to just go across the map and kill them. And it looks like that's going to be the case. The Roach Warren goes down. The Lurker Den is only about 30-40 seconds from finishing, but Snute not giving him time to get it. Actually, the angle from Cham is pretty incredible here, but I think there's just too many units for Snute.
And so few mutas to try and help and clean that up. The Queens were not there. It was just the one that wasn't attacking for the longest time. Snowlinks, get it there for Snute.
They're going to roll up as well. And actually an amazing hold from Cham here. It looks like he will eventually clean this up. And he's up in workers, so, you know, this is fantastic play from Cham.
Oh, the splits. There is only one overseer. It's going to chase the right-hand side roaches. There's another one being morphed to fight the ones on the left-hand side here. Good hold by Cham. Let's see if he can minimize the losses here on the drone count, because it's only been 2 so far.
Snute's actually freezing up a little bit. He's got 1,400 minerals in the bank. He doesn't have a 4th base yet, and that's what he needs right now if he wants to play a longer game. I think Snute might just end up going for a 2-2 mass roach all in, saying, you know what, let's just ignore the mutas and do that. But you know what would hard counter that option, Todd? Lurkers. And we have Lurkers finishing up right now here for Cham. Cham is going to be able to deflect these last few Tunneling Claw Roaches, and with Lurkers out, he's going to be impregnable. If Snute goes all in on Roaches, this is not going to work.
He's going to have the mobility, I guess, where he can attack in multiple places, prevent a 4th base from going up, or even try and do some damage there. Do you think we see something like a drop maybe from Snute to try and make sure he's still mobile with his roaches? Or is Cham going to go for a big push at the front base of Snute?
I'm not sure. I mean, he spotted the Lurkers now. He has seen those. I think he should have noticed that.
I mean, he saw the Lurker then way earlier, right?
Yeah.
When he had the roaches there. And Cham, this army is looking really scary there with those Lurkers out now.
Snute's not spreading creep. I'm getting very worried for him. No creep spread towards the 4th or 5th. Mutas are going to be a big pain. Roach
If you
count
can
is going to be
siege
a big
there,
pain.
how are you supposed to defend against siege Lurkers outside of this wall?
Yeah, it's all going to be about numbers, and Snute only up about 17 army supply right
Another
now.
Nidus going up in the main here. Cham trying to bring the army of Snute out of position, knowing that if he can siege at the front, he can leapfrog those Lurkers forward, and Snute might be in big trouble in this game.
Snute just pulled his Roaches out of the main base. He had them there defending the Nidus, but he actually pulled them away, and now he's let the Lurkers unload in his main base. A big blunder here for Snute, but he is actually killing a few of these Hydralisks before they can burrow. The Lurkers burrow, though, and now Cham. Oh my gosh, he is doing so well somehow, defending at home with Lurkers, Roaches, and Hydras. He's shutting down Snute's attack. He's in the main base doing big damage. Is Snute going to be able to overwhelm those Lurkers? Looks like one Lurker is still standing strong. Snute gonna finally focus that down, but look at the supply. Todd, somehow Cham is back in this game.
Wow, Snute's gonna hold on. Actually, I thought that attacking the main would be harder for him to defend. All like Cham at home, able to survive. We're still even in supply. After all that's happened, resources lost, pretty even, over 11,000 for both of these guys.
This is actually insanity right now. I do not know how Cham is still in this game. Snute, he's just not able to close this out. He's still got 2-2 versus just +1. I mean, his Roaches are so superior. But the 4th base, as I said before, no creep over there, no Spore Crawlers. These mutas are going to be a massive nuisance. Another Nidus Worm going down at the gold base. This is just craziness right now, and there's still so much mobility from Cham.
Yeah. He's the one who has quite a bit of mobility here with his mutas now, but the Lurkers are going to be really scary. Like I said, if they can stay with the army, leapfrog forwards, and make sure they get some good damage going here against this massive amount of Roaches, it's going to be so hard for Snute to actually fight against this setup Lurkers.
So awkward.
He does have a bunch of Ravagers, which Corrosive Bile will be good against.
Oh, the bait and switch. He pushes the front. Snoot's whole army comes down, and then he just loads up into the Nidus and unloads in the main base. Snute has been outsmarted and outpositioned here.
Third time's the charm pig, and that was the third Nidus here in that location. Looks like Cham might be able to break through. Snute going for the base trade. He identifies he cannot fight this, so he's going to go for the counter attack, but his base is being ransacked way earlier before he can start doing the same thing across the map here.
This is massive. He's going to focus down the Nidus Worm to make sure those units can't come home to defend. The Spire going down as well. He's going after those tech structures. He's going after that economy. Snute is down in army supply, though. He is behind in this base race, and Cham is all over this game, making a miracle happen here. His Nidus Worm was held. He was behind, but he just kept on Nidusing. He kept building mutas. He did the surprise Lurker tech switch, and he is making it work so well. This game is just going crazy right now.
Those queens against just roaches and hydras might have been able to do well, but the lurkers, again, here the big problem. Snute can't be fighting against this. He's going to lose all of his queens, and he's losing all of his buildings
right now. And I think those are his last drones as well, Todd. He doesn't have any more drones out on the map.
And I think Cham, he's making a bunch of spine crawlers on his fourth base. He's got a lurker there. This is just looking better, I think, for him right now, but the supply is still about even for both players, and Snute has a lot of roaches left over, still not quite able to snipe those mutas here.
Mutas fighting +2 carapace roaches. It takes a while for them to do anything, but there's just no answer. There is no anti-air for Snute. He is out of workers. He is at 0 workers. If he loses his buildings, he's dead.
I can't believe those mutas have been there the entire game, by the way. At this point, they're like just flying there, like, kill me, like, already. They're cleaning up somehow.
There's no fungal bile this time, and that single lurker racking up the kills with the splash damage. Cham, with some unorthodox play, he is making it happen right now. The last layer of Snute has fallen back at home. His last buildings are going down. His army gets cleaned up here, and even if he gets that hatchery, there are more buildings left over. There's still an extractor there. Cham holding on strong, shutting down these last roaches. How many buildings do we have left here for Cham? It's all about the building race. He's got the roach warren bleeding. That extractor, is it going to go down? It looks like the drones are even trying to fight to defend that right now. The cancel is good. Cham can still build one more extractor this game, and that is it.
Yeah, Snute forgot to burrow those roaches there, but he got rid of one more of those buildings. Cham only has one extractor and a roach warren.
That last roach, though, it's going down to the lurkers. It's trying to fight there. It falls. That extractor stands strong. Another extractor going down next to it. Cham has managed to keep his buildings alive. Snute focusing down the roach warren. He's got another 6 roaches going across this map.
He's going to get that roach warren. He's bleeding out anyway. If Snute can get those extractors on the right-hand side, he will have won the game. I don't think there's any opportunity for another building here to start even.
Not
and he's got burrowed roaches here in that location.
But what
There's
about
an overseer.
Snoot's buildings at home at the same time are all going down. He's getting very low on structures, and Snute is on the verge of defeat. If he doesn't kill these extractors right
he's gonna
now...
go all in. He's going to go all in on it. He has no choice.
He has to do it right here, right now. He's trying to come in from 2 angles, trying to focus on the extractor. Those roaches, he misclicked. They weren't hitting the extractor. He does get the bottom extractor. It goes down. The roach burrow there is looking nice, but it's just not quite enough. The last extractor there, a couple hundred hit points still remain. The last roach falls, and that will be all she wrote for Snute. Cham here making a miracle happen. The Mexican Zerg player, the underdog in this matchup, having a fantastic tournament, and he's gonna win it 3-2.
The epic conclusion to a close series, which the closest map we've seen yet here. Down to the last few buildings from both players. But Cham had the upper hands, and he capitalizes on it here.
Such an impressive series there. Cham just showing the depth of his play. So many different styles coming out. And I love that all-in the last game and the transition off it. Let's hear from the man himself. He is over there in your players area with Sue.
Thank you very much, Pig. Cham, first of all, as soon as the GG hit, I could tell how much it meant to you. Can you just try to describe that for everyone watching? How much does this moment mean for you?
It means a lot, actually, beating a top Zerg player. I think he has been having his struggles, but I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting to win. So right now I'm pretty pumped for the next one. I think it's a laser. Yeah, it's going to be laser. So yeah, I'm just going to study for tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll talk about Elaser in just a bit, but definitely need to talk about this series. It went to all 5 games. It was a really close series, but let's talk about Proxima Station because it was so interesting for us. It was that last map. Just walk us through what happens because it started with you Nidusing and then it turned into this sort of crazy game.
Yeah, well, Snute and me play a lot in the ladder, so it's very hard to pick up the strategies. But I think that Nidus will, I haven't done it to him, so it was kind of like a surprise. But he's got in my third, so it went explosive. But with that Nidus, if you kill the drones or at least the drones, you're okay. I mean, you're okay. So I was able to just calm and play the game. I was like, oh, well, let's just play the game. But yeah.
And I think a lot of fans that are watching out there are really interested in your story because you went from a player that some people had heard of to now this year you've made the WCS Austin quarterfinals last time and now this time as well. So can you just tell us, what made this transformation? How did you go from a player that some people knew about to now everyone knows who you are?
Well, I used to try to play competitive in other games, like console games, a long time ago. And until one night that I asked myself why I'm not like them or why I'm not having the results that I want. And yeah, I kind of find a way and it works for me. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you guys, but you have to know yourself and you have to know how you work so that you can learn. It's not different like, I am very different than other players. So yeah, it's just study the game, even though another player can be faster or it can be faster, but if I have the knowledge, I will still beat him.
Now, if you beat Elaser, it'll be your best finish at one of these tournaments yet. So going up against him, do you have any ideas on how you want to prepare for that?
Actually, Elaser and me practiced it some games before here, and it was like 2-2 in practice. But I'm not sure. I'm just really happy. I'm not thinking Elaser right now, but I will and will pick the right wheel. So the only thing that worries me is that I have a lot of bots to see in the online tournaments, and also my girl full of Zergs and then Snute. So. Not sure. I'm going to have to try to calm and pick the correct builds.
All right, well, congratulations to Cham. Amazing results so far. And with that, our second quarterfinal match is set. It will be Cham versus Elaser.
An awesome match going down to the very last few buildings here. The defended Nidus, the insane aggression, the stellar macro coming out of our underdog, boys.
Yes. When David Kim received the Stone Book of Balance from Dustin Browder on the mountaintop, which is well documented, this is what they foresaw. They foresaw a ZvZ going down to the final geyser with the last few roaches, trying to get those hits. It was an epic, and it was the 5th game, by the way, too. It's not like it's a 3-1 or something like that. It was literally up to that. Storyline's incredible. Your heart bleeds a little bit for Snute because it's like, well, a little bit. He does have about $500,000 in the bank, so you know what, scratch that. I don't feel bad for him at all. It's nice to see some of these other guys rising up, putting away their consoles, and realizing that the PC Master Race has so much more to offer.
Amen.
I think this is the most lit all the casters have been watching a game so far in the weekend. It started off as a pretty fun ZvZ series. First games, we're looking at each other like, Cham is really good. But then suddenly start cheesing in game 4, it doesn't work. Goes for the Nidus in game 5. And I think it could have done a lot more. This is really funny. I was ready to analyze the Nidus and then it turned into that sick game. So who the hell cares about my stupid Nidus analysis? But, it could have done more when the Queens would have been in a better position. It just turned into madness. Like, I couldn't believe it. Obviously, there will always be skeptical people like, that game wasn't good at all. Snute threw it. Yeah, that's always how sick games go. Otherwise, it's not a sick game, right? Like, there's always one player getting a little ahead. There is always a comeback. Fantastic by Cham. That was so much fun to watch. And
insane.
We're looking at the building tab. It's like 2 extractors, 1 extract. Is he going to do it? It's like, no, he's got like 2 army supply. We're like, oh my God. Cool.
What I love about it, too, though, is StarCraft's a game of mistakes. There's so much going on. There's so many choices being made. So, like, all the mistakes that both players made, by the way, were forced on each other by their opponent and by the different strategies. Like, that was a 2-base all-in that if Snute would have just kept droning 1 more cycle more, you're dead. It's over. It's not even a great game. But he holds it off, and
the roaches came out just in time to help deal with
and
that.
Also how patient he stayed. I think a lot of people will immediately like jump on the Nidus, try to surround it before your roaches are out. You lose the drones, it's over. Snute just like retreated in his own base. He waited, and then on the right moment, he fought with the drones, surrounded the Queens. Once again, like I think the Queens could have been on the right side, and then there is a good chance that he has some more DPS, maybe a transfuse. But, Snute holds from that point on. We're like, well, this might be over. Munoz can maybe bring it back. And then obviously there was this one attack where Snute just kind of hammered it down the throat of Cham.
He pushed everything in at once and tried to finish the game right there. But
You know,
Cham, really just an amazing hold.
yeah, the Hydras we're looking at is like, yeah, Snute's got a lot, but that looks kind of like an awful choke point to fight into. But this should still be all right. Like, how often do you see a Zerg with 2-2 lose against a Zerg with 1-0? Yeah, lurkers are fantastic, but that's 3 upgrades.
But still.
But still.
But still, it's very
awesome.
huge upgrade difference. Amazing result for our underdog player. A couple of big upsets so far here as we were looking at that bracket earlier. We've got more and more action to bring you. The ZvZ Fest has come to an end. If you like Terran, prepare your bodies, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back after this break.
Have we mentioned the announcer panel?
We'll be right back after this break with more StarCraft action. You're watching WCS Jönköping.